Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the desk, where we'll conclude our day in North America. A spicy one, SoaR versus Enemy, but most importantly, PandaCat, he's back in the lineup. He's back starting, and perhaps he's back to make a big impact.
Yeah, this has been really brutal for Enemy. I think they're coming in at 1-0-3 right now. They have not been able to get anything strung together. They've got that 1-2-0 win, and that's about it. And here's the thing for me, right? I understand there's been a lot of them talking about how, obviously, how one player can impact your team pretty heavily. I agree, but I've seen a lot of other issues come out from Enemy in recent weeks. Now, that's not saying that it won't all be fixed by today if they are feeling much more confident. Maybe that's it. Maybe they had lost those early games and lost a lot of confidence and started making mistakes elsewhere. PainDeViande getting picked off in a lot of spots that he normally wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the whole team together, and a lot of the wins that we saw out of Enemy in the past. I mean, you leaned on your power players, and PandaCat really stepped up to really become one of those spotlight guys.
Yeah, and here's the main issue for Denial, right? With how crazy NA is right now, them having all these early losses, like when the seedings come out, they're going to get stuck with other top-tier teams, and it's not going to be easy. Only 2 teams come out of each land stage, and if they have to face off against an LG and an Eager, and it's not going to be as clear anymore, right? It is not. Everyone is catching up in North America. Even Allegiant starting to look like they can take some games off some top teams. Which
is why it's interesting that we're seeing PandaCat come back against SoaR. I mean, SoaR has really solidified themselves as one of the top-end teams, if not the top-end team. I mean, a lot of people, when you're looking at 1, 2, 3, there's a conversation about Denial, SoaR, and Eager, and where does Enemy fit in? Are they number 1, 2, or 3? Of course, Luminosity playing last time or last set like they are number 1, 2, or 3 as well. But picks and bans along the way. SoaR, Enemy. What are your just gut feelings on this one?
I feel like Enemy is going to have a lot of similar struggles, and they're going to realize it wasn't just PandaCat. Maybe they're revitalized, right? Maybe everyone cleans up their mistakes because they're a lot more confident with PandaCat back to them. But PandaCat hasn't been able to practice, obviously. He's been, I don't know what he was, I think he was away with family, but I mean, he's back in line now, but they haven't been able to practice with him. Because you look at FearNo, and FearNo didn't do anything bad. He was a solid, just plug-and-play person. But the issue is, like, even Shattered came out and said, like, well, I'm just used to PandaCat coming out really far ahead and carrying me in late game team fights. Is basically what he came out and said. And I don't know if that's going to be able to happen here. I don't know if PandaCat's up to it, or I don't know if they've been able to fix kind of the other mistakes they were having.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I'm very excited for this one. I've been excited for this one. I think there's more to the PandaCat thing, or less to the PandaCat thing than a lot of people think. With the acquisition of PandaCat back in the lineup, I think we're going to see the same old Enemy.
This is still a really good team, and I am not saying they're bad. I have learned my lesson. I have atoned for my sins of the past. Enemy is still a very good team.
What are we, children?
But
if you're in the SPL, you're a good team.
Yeah, no, but there is the clear difference. And, Enemy was at the bottom for so long, and everyone's like, they're not going to do good. They're not going to do good. And they do good. I've given up on saying they're not going to do good anymore, right? They're a good team. Into picks and bans we go, though. Here we have the Soul and the Ao Kwang banned out. And a first pick, Susano.
And this is going to enable Shatter to just be rotate around the map. It fits in very well with what Enemy want to do. SoaR will select Raijin for the mid lane. We'll see how that one works out with Snoopy.
They might go for one of their supports as well. They really like to lean heavily on Jigz, right? Whether he goes into the Bacchus or the Sobek, which is what I expect. That's his primary 2 in his God pool. But they like to have a strategy early and pick one of them. Instead, it's actually going to be the Terra, and we've started to see her picked up here today with her opening week.
So when Fafnir came out opening week, he was top pick, top ban. If he wasn't banned, he's a snap #1 selection. Terra isn't quite there, but she keeps being selected second.
I think there's a less direct strength, right? It's very clear with Fafnir, like, you have this very massive attack speed buff, right? You have a lot of stuns, you have a lot of survivability, being able to pop into that dragon form, get kind of the double jumps, the multiple stuns. Whereas Terra is more like, how can we utilize her ult, right? What compositions are going to be able to work with her root combo? What are we going to be able to do with her walls? Like, what are all these strategies we can use? And it's not as direct, and I think it's going to require a lot more theory crafting. Still, though, people value that ultimate a lot, and I think that's why we're seeing her picked up very early when she is not banned.
So she'll be there next to Raijin and Thor. Thor also has a long-range stun, which will enable Terra's harder to hit long-range stun. So a lot of combos set up potentially for SoaR Gaming, specifically in that sort of mid-lane 3v3 nonsense.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of poke right now on the side of SoaR Gaming. Raijin, Terra, Thor, like, that's all devastating in the core. You got to be very careful of it. In the meantime, Enemy, they've picked up Freya for PandaCat. So if they were having troubles in games before where, you know, PandaCat's or, you know, they didn't have Fafnir coming out late game, like, PandaCat's not really going to be able to make an impact on this Freya in the early game at all. But an ISIS pickup, something we haven't really seen enemy run too often.
Exactly. We saw it earlier in the day, hand in hand with a late game jungler, so it allowed the team to sort of balance the lack of early game with that mage, and we might see something similar from enemy, taking ISIS to go ahead and do some of the early game stuff, and then late game, mid game, actually, Freya should come online a little bit earlier than we're used to, next to the Fafnir.
It's a possibility here, but I mean, we saw what happened with Vedium against Barracuda, right? Obviously, the matchup was a little bit different. This time, it's Jing instead of the Soul against Freya, but you can get so far behind, and as long as the enemy hunter is making those rotations and making these impact and fights, it gets brutal. I like them pairing this ISIS, right, in the mid lane to where they're going to have guaranteed pressure, and then enemy can probably look to set up a lot on the left-hand side, maybe gank Met, maybe put him down. Anything to make sure PandaCat's going to be able to get out of this early game.
I also like that it's on Khaos. Khaos has really recently sort of become a spotlight player, but never for his hard hyper carry. I think you can look towards some of the Giannis snipes and his Giannis play and say, excellent, you know, he's being that mage carry, but really what impresses me about Khaos, both historically and recently, has been Agni setups, has been Giannis portals used for utility to allow his teammates, most notably Shattered and PandaCat, to get in there nice and deep.
When you do think about Khaos and you're like, oh, this guy has developed into a hyper carry, you're really only thinking about his Giannis plays.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about any of his other of his god pool, right? Which are these setup type characters, which do a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but he's not really looking to overexert himself or make any flashy things. It's just like, let's play safe. Let's put Shattered and PandaCat in a position to win these team fights.
And that's what ISIS is going to do. Khaos will bring out some of the early game clear that we're used to out of ISIS, and then of course the ultimate in the middle of team fights, specifically Gold Fury and Fire Giant objectives, will be a fantastic tool to go ahead and secure those. And you've got the stuns and the slows and the silences out of ISIS as well.
Khaos, I think he got that one. I think he got that one, which is really helpful because Snoopy also lost 2 minions to the tower, I believe, pulling off that wave early to make sure to guarantee that they secured those.
Yeah, you can see enemy with a 50 gold lead, but that's what you're talking about when it comes to the Harpies. And then the elementals were still being taken, so you can sort of deduce that. Snoopy gets into trouble, but finds himself safely under tower.
Andinster also having to hammering in mid, and because of this, and look at this just dual lane. It is so hard for PandaCat. He's going to be knocked up as well.
In trouble, he's going to be killed. Metyankey gets the last hit onto SoaR, onto enemies. Hunter very quickly. Welcome back to the SPL, PandaCat. Now sit down.
No, he went soaring all right. Like, this Jing wave pick has just become so much more meta on these top. We've seen the top teams pick it up and experiment with it a lot more than the bottom teams. And a lot of it is centered around Gust and the ability to zone out and poke in lane, and that's exactly what we saw here. Jing versus the Magical Hunters, she just seems to have such a good matchup in being able to poke them because they push forward in the lane, they get hit by the knockup, which pushes them even further towards the enemy hunter, and they just take so much guaranteed poke off of that.
And that right there, that's a combo that everybody just wrote down if they haven't taken note of it already. The knockup into the guaranteed stun coming out of Terra, Terra's stun is supposed to be and is hard to confirm. But if you're going to get knocked up into it, well, oh well.
Kind of hard there. You can see in the mid lane also trouble for ISIS and Susano as Andinster and Snoopy able to kind of out-pressure them there. Not exactly sure what happened in the fight, but PandaCat once again just so much poke, and there's the knockup again. Forced to purify right back in the lane, right back into danger.
Root, stun, knockup. Put them in any order you want. Root probably gonna come first, but the root into the knockup into the stun killed PandaCat first time, root into the stun into the knockup the second time around, and just like that, SoaR Gaming have complete control over this duo lane. PandaCat can't even show up. He's just gonna get zoned out.
I can't tell if they're trolling. Matt and Jigz are trolling PandaCat right now. They're completely zoning him out. PainDeViande is getting laughed at. Jigz is laughing at PainDeViande's damage right there as he smacks him with hammer. They probably could have killed Pain, or at least forced some damage onto him.
Yeah, but right here, like, just completely the amount of farm the PandaCat is 0.
Well, you have that, right? Nice stun there. Jigz still going to find the root on a PandaCat once again. Into the knockup, into the poke. This is absolutely... This just looks exactly like LG versus Denial, where just there was nothing Vetium could do in his matchups. He was so far behind, and this is going to continue to happen until enemy rotates some members over to relieve this pressure.
I mean, that first blood comes off of SoaR taking a combination that they have practiced, obviously, to the nth degree. And enemy, like you said, PandaCat hasn't had time to practice. When was the last time PandaCat got to play against Terra? Hint, probably never, if not few and far between.
Yeah, wonder when he actually got back, right? Like, what if he actually has not played against Terra yet? He's going to get stunned once again, rooted once again, knocked up once again, still not level 5.
And still being trapped underneath that tower. That's going to be SoaR's game plan for the next couple of minutes at the very least. Right side, SoaR trying to defend what they can, and it's going to be the ultimate out of Snoopy right down the middle, barely keeping Khaos alive, but down comes Andy to change that. Double kill for the jungle.
I'm telling you, man, this was not PandaCat's doing. Enemy is been looking sloppy in recent weeks, and Khaos completely out of position there. You could see the team trying to defend their speed buff successfully, or excuse me, not defend. They were trying to invade that speed buff against a Thor and a Raijin, which is very dangerous. Khaos isolates him by himself, and then he just gets picked off. There's so much poke damage coming out between not only andinster, but also Snoopy.
PandaCat just barely
look at this commit
stun this time around, but with the ultimates and a good knockup, PandaCat still in trouble despite avoiding the stun. Still will be forced back to base, or at least forced underneath the tower here. Level 4 still.
XP per minute, 269, 267, and it just keeps going down as he gets zoned out. This is the lowest XP per minute I think we've ever seen. This might be the longest it takes for an SPL player to hit level 5 ever. And look, Purification Force, he can't even stay and hit 5. He's got to go back to base. It's going to be upwards of 6 minutes before we see PandaCat be able to do anything.
Now, how does the team... Now, SoaR have done a fantastic job here, and that goes without saying, but how does PandaCat even respond to this? How does he get out of this hole?
I mean, at this point, he can't, right? This needs to be on enemy as a whole. So what enemy decided to do, right, which is... I mean, it's the correct decision to make is either A, you put pressure on the left-hand side and allow PandaCat to hit 5 and get him into the mid-game. Even if he's behind, at least he hasn't died a ton. Or you look to set up plays elsewhere on the map. And that's what they tried to do with the speed, but they gave absolutely no respect to SoaR. They just walked in there, no vision, and they got absolutely demolished once Khaos was a little bit out of position. We saw the double tap come in and the full commit from Snoopy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea was, hey, if SoaR are going to have so much attention on the left side, we can go ahead and invade.
We're 5 minutes in, and andinster is 5 levels over PandaCat right now. This is
9, ouch.
Brutal. And you know what, this isn't even that, so crazy enough, enemy are not in the worst position ever, right? Because obviously PandaCat, 6 minutes in, still not level 5, but he's really the only one behind, and as a team, they're only down by about under 2K.
Rooted, knocked up, well, he's still below 25%
well, he's
HP.
hit 5, so there's that. You got something. He's got something going for him now. 6 minutes.
PandaCat has spent the entire game, and sure, I'm being a little glib, but just barely, under a quarter of HP, Kevin. He spent more time at this HP than full.
And look at this, Jigz just constantly, the knockup, once again, not enough damage, but still so close. Metyankey had ult. He could probably look to commit onto that.
It's guaranteed damage. Shatter gets chased out a little bit away from the fire elementals, but the route into the knockup out of Jing is just guaranteed damage every time SoaR go for it, and Jigz is going to keep doing it.
What I'm so lost about is how we saw andinster in the dual lane before we saw Shattered or Khaos in the dual lane. Instead, they're going to try and gank Baskin over here on the right-hand side. I mean, they got to get something coming, but the issue is that andinster is already right here, and he could come down and probably set something up.
I mean, both players for enemy right here, both missed by andinster. Still gets the ultimate from Marauder. That's a win.
He's got a lot of movement speed there, Shattered, on Susano. Got the speed buff in hand, so he's going to be fine. I mean, Shattered, I mean, something's got to happen, right? You can't just let PandaCat... It's okay to let your hunter get a little bit behind. That's fine. But he is currently 1,000 gold and 3 levels behind.
I mean, why did enemy not respond to the zone out like we see here earlier? with a jungle gang or a mid rotation.
I really don't know. Like that's so enemy tried to do something. They tried to invade the speed buff. That was their call. They're like, okay, we're gonna give up on PandaCat. This is something we can't fight, which is not, you know, a bad call. It's not, you know, anything like he can't fight this. There's nothing PandaCat can do. Even if we rotate over, he's still gonna be in the same scenario. So let's try and force something else over. But it just doesn't work. And since then, we see nothing. This is the first time finally enemy are setting up here on the left-hand side.
And the root's gonna be aggressive one more time, and now enemy trying to do what they can against SoaR here in the duo lane. PandaCat again chased out. Metyankey still on the aggressive, but the 3-on-2 just goes even. And SoaR stand
by
up
now
top.
it's too late, right? You had that. You needed to make that opportunity much earlier before items started to come online. Metyankey's got Devo gloves starting to stack it up. He's got boots 1. Jigz finished his boots off as well as had Mark of the Vanguard. If this happens before Jigz is able to back, before he's able to finish off those boots, you could probably set up a kill on the Terra, right? Especially if you wait for him to do his combo. Because Jigz has shown he has no fear in going aggressive, right? And so you let him dash and you wait for it, but hasn't been able to happen.
PandaCat still in trouble, taking damage from the pulse, and a couple of basics out of Metyankey get chased away as soon as the pulsar radiate is activated from the Freya. So PandaCat now finally starting to have a little bit of bite to his bark, but still going to be zoned out by SoaR here on the left side.
Right-hand side, Marauder's just been hanging on for the most part. Baskin actually doing a really good job. They're dead even in gold here, but once again, this is an Amaterasu. You kind of want her to lose the lane. You really want to get ahead if you're up against her, and so you can open up opportunities for the right-hand side. Same thing with having this ISIS, is that enemy haven't been able to utilize this early game. We saw this identical thing happen in game 1 today with, it was Envy, utilizing an ISIS trying to get ahead, but weren't able to find those opportunities, and then just eventually, the ISIS just gets dove.
I mean, even with the Susano, it's certainly an option for enemy to go and try and make a play. The problem was the one time they did into the enemy speed buff, SoaR Gaming were totally ready, and they took it, and it was not a good look for enemy at all. So where do they go from here? I think you got to start looking defensively, but specifically, just take a look at that duo lane. Enemy need a lot of help there. I don't think there's anything wrong with another rotation from Shadow.
Well, at this point, you're not going to be able to set anything up. Trouble here for Khaos, though. He's going to get stunned. He's managing to get under his tower, though.
And still getting pulled. There's the ultimate out of the Amaterasu, and that'll save for the moment, but now Marauder.
Wow, super late ult coming out of Snoopy. That's got to come out. I mean, I guess he was worried about the ISIS ult. Doesn't want to stack up that heal, but at this point, the ISIS ultimate, right, you're going to be outputting way more damage than it's going to be reducing or healing up Khaos, so you got a full commit. Instead there, Snoopy tries to do super long range shots. Doesn't happen. Really good job by enemy there for surviving, right? Really well-timed Sanctuary. Good ult from Khaos, as well as Shattered responding, pulling Baskin under tower.
Yeah, I love the pull out of Shattered. I thought that was very important. Gold Fury already down to about a quarter, and SoaR, they're going to have a large look at this. Still alive, though. Gold Fury taken by SoaR, and PandaCat goes to the air to start getting aggressive, but the turnaround from SoaR a little bit too strong. Khaos in trouble. Good stun coming out from the ISIS, but from behind, here comes Baskin. Dash forward to silence the mid lane mage. Out, andinster gets double tapped, and Baskin finishes Khaos for the kill. PainDeViande now by himself, hanging out here, protecting the pigs, but he'll head back to lane if he knows what's good for him.
Enemy trying to get anything off of this Gold Fury. They know that if they give this up and don't get any kills, they're just going to this game is going to spiral out of their hands. It's already out of their hands right now. It's a 4K lead, so they try and force something. Unfortunately, though, Khaos gets picked off by himself. Marauder still pushing forward, but he's by himself too, and Shattered has already dipped on him here. Marauder gets picked up, getting incredibly greedy, and enemy are falling apart, man. This is just a collapse of one of the best North American squads in under 2 months.
Yeah, I think this is really rough, again, for enemy. I think that PandaCat coming in here makes this team better than not, but Shattered again in trouble under the tower. Baskin just doesn't even care. He's under the enemy tower, and still, and he shows up out of nowhere and throws the hammer down.
I am normally very against F6ing in games that like are critical, right? When you look at best of 3s, you can F6, and best of 5s, you can F6. If like mentally you're just like you're screwing yourself over. But in best of 2s, right, you're playing both games, and every game's gonna matter. This is a game I almost would say enemy need to F6.
Oh, it's too early.
12 minutes. This is just like
5K?
This is brutal, right? They could come back from this. I'm not saying that it isn't possible, right? But a lot of it's going to rely on SoaR messing up, as well as or SoaR just playing very passively and not trying to get ahead anymore.
But I mean, PandaCat was put down, right? He's been completely kept out of the game. He's over 1,000 gold down against his direct opposition. But Freya can certainly come out of the hole. Marauder now stuck underneath the tower. He's likely to fall if SoaR can play their cards right. Again, by the way, we're under enemy's tower, and SoaR are just kind of hanging out in the danger field.
But Shattered actually able to get over here in time. PainDeViande's going to ult, and andinster could be in trouble, but he's still holding firm. And the jump onto Snoopy as Khaos comes around the corner as well.
Yeah, Snoopy's just barely going to avoid the Spirit Ball. Khaos a little bit too slow on that one. Andy Sanctuary saves 3 out of 4 shots out of the Wingus, and Snoopy ultimate just goes nowhere. But SoaR still wind up on top here on the right-hand side.
That's a 4 versus 3, though. SoaR are fine with this because they're able to put more pressure on the left-hand side. No way that PandaCat can stop this. His tier 1's going to fall.
Nothing.
That might have been the best thing that ever happened to PandaCat, is losing his tier 1 there.
Sure.
Like, because now it's going to be much more dangerous for Metyankey to push up and pressure a tier 2. But at this time, he's fine. And actually, Baskin almost finding the kill onto PainDeViande, but he gets knocked up, I believe, by Marauder. And he could pay with his life because of this. Marauder, 4 seconds on his cooldowns.
Still, Marauder, again, there's the movement speed, and the bat slow will secure the kill.
Did he almost double? Baskin almost double killed him with the reflection shield. Oh, man, that would have been...
Enemy finally find themselves on the board. I say finally, it's only 14 minutes in, Kevin, but SoaR have just been so active all across the map.
This isn't... I'm still going to go back this. They're not in the worst situation ever, right? You look at their key players here. PainDeViande has actually been able to get a lot of farm, thankfully, because Jigz has spent so much time in the left lane. He's soaked up and stolen a lot of farm from Metyankey, despite putting PandaCat behind really far. And obviously, Fafnir can do a fair amount of damage in teamfight, so if he just has those extra levels to stay tanky enough, that could come into play big. And also, Khaos, level 14. Like, this ISIS is still going to be doing damage here, but he is going for the Spirit's Robe, I just noticed.
Yeah, wants to stay a little bit, well, alive. I guess there's no a little bit alive. You're just alive, you're not, but Khaos certainly, he's been getting in trouble. 0-2-0. I mean, enemy have 1 kill.
I mean, the issue with him going Spirit Robe is, like, if he's caught out, he's still probably dying in the same positions, but if he has damage, he at least has a, like, this team is off. You just saw Khaos miss a Spirit Ball in a like, I don't know, it's minor, but like, that's just not something that Khaos is gonna, like, any pro player is ever gonna miss while doing waves here. Enemy trying to force something in the mid.
And Shattered loses half of his HP to a double tap out of andinster. Stuck underneath the tower. Good positioning coming out from enemy, but Andy still alive. Nice stun onto Khaos, who's still having trouble. 2 out of 3 shots from Baskin will stun the mid-mage, and now Khaos has to find an exit. 180 stun pushes Baskin out to the left-hand side. Shattered on the job and finds a couple of basics, but still taking more damage than dealing out. Snoopy and Metyankey take down Shattered while allowing Baskin to find exit.
Enemy doing a great job here, but they are going to get, you know, Snoopy there at the end. Still, Metyankey very deep by himself, has Sanctuary. His ultimate's available, and he's just trying to channel it. Finally gets it ult, but he could go back in because andinster takes to the sky, looking to land down. Everyone on enemy is grouped!
And there's the Berserker's Barrage. 3 people get hit. SoaR Gaming continuing. Basket gets 1. Metyankey gets 2. 3 people get stunned. 3 people are done. SoaR pushing down the mid lane even still. Khaos is down. Baskin gets it. It's number 11 for SoaR. We're 16 minutes in, and SoaR have just annihilated enemy.
I mean, full shoutouts to enemy. That was a phenomenal team fight for them at the start there. A great use of their CCs. We saw them chain CCing Basket, making sure to keep everyone in line. We had the stun from Khaos, the silence from Khaos, Shattered with the pulls as well as the ult. PainDeViande has the hammer, but it just wasn't enough.
You know, I'm never one to advocate for an F6, maybe in a best out of 3 scenario.
What happened to 3 minutes ago when I said it?
Maybe you had a best of a 5 scenario, but in the 2-game set, no, seriously, jokes aside, I mean, Baskin puts a dozen for SoaR Gaming. You know, a couple of minutes ago, for me, this was, all right, PandaCat's really far behind, but enemy, if they make a couple of smart plays, can do it. I don't want to venture a guess. I very rarely like to try to play Miss Cleo. I don't know what's going on in enemies' heads. From here, it seems like they've gotten into themselves, and SoaR have just made the statement. And you know what? I got to agree.
I want to think it's a mental game, right? Enemy are going to hold this loss. We don't know how game 2 is going to play out. I I would bet anyone in the world right now that there is no way enemy comes back into this one, because just you're seeing some of the mistakes they make that are so small, but so critical that it just says enemy are just not playing their game right now. Also, this picks and ban phase is a little bit surprising, right? Because you have this ISIS designed to put pressure, right, and relieve pressure for PandaCat, and we saw none of that.
Yeah, there was no help over there in the solo lane, and point as many fingers as you want. Is the jungle's fault? Is the mid lane's fault? It's enemy's fault as a team for not assessing the situation. I think the Terra caught enemy off guard, to be honest with you. Maybe specifically PandaCat's a little bit more fair, but I think off of the way the first exchange went in that dual lane, Adonis, I'm not sure if enemy's dual lane was ready for Jigz.
Jigz is laughing this off right now.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just going to pop his obelisk, get the heal. He is not afraid. Finds multiple stuns as well. And, I mean, SoaR just going to be able to really start to pressure here. PandaCat doing a good job of, farming up and dealing with everything. And it's nothing PandaCat has been able to do, right?
No.
There has been absolutely nothing PandaCat's been able to do this game.
Absolutely not. I think you're looking at SoaR Gaming with the changes they made in the offseason, bringing on andinster and Snoopy. I think you're looking at one of the best teams here. Metyankey in some trouble, however. 3-on-1, Metyankey still finds the out. Can he continue? He's got Jigz coming around the corner. I think that'd be that. But I think you're looking at SoaR Gaming, arguable #1 North America team, and when you put out a new support, I think there's a lot of people that will agree that Jigz is definitely one of the strongest support players in the game, and, giving him the brand new support against a player that's been out for a couple of weeks, it just, everything lined up perfectly for SoaR.
I'm not saying Terra has high mechanical ability, but compared to other supports like an Athena who just has an AoE cone in front of her, she has more skill shots there and finds the two-man root as well as SoaR looking to siege down this tier 2. Good ultimate from Shatter, though.
This is a good play from enemy if they can fight into it. However, that's a large if. SoaR on the retreat a little bit. They activate their shell, just step back a couple of feet, and now they're able to step right back into it.
Maybe we're being a little bit too brutal on enemy because some of these fights have been very close. I mean, at this point, right, SoaR just have a massive lead, and they're not going to be as close here unless SoaR really mess up when they come into plays. But some of those earlier fights were very close to finding enemy getting some kills.
A little bit.
Oh, the two-man stun. There's the knockup again, and SoaR just going to dive this.
The power from Baskin dashing right on through, forcing PandaCat out of the fight. Down comes Andy, and Shattered going to be forced out on the left side as well. Pain doing what he can, but all he can do is watch his teammates fall down. Tier 1 tower's been gone. Tier 2 is what SoaR would be looking at if they weren't focused on the kills. Andy put 6 on the board for himself, 14 for the team. Marauder underneath the Phoenix. That's right, the Phoenix being aggressed on by SoaR. They're still looking at a tier 2 tower, but enemy are just dying like lambs to the slaughter.
SoaR were farming kills there. Jigz diving a Phoenix by himself on no health, barely managing it out. And this is a little bit sloppy from them, so they're not able to clean up this tower. And now enemy surging forward. They know that SoaR is low, so they have an opportunity here to force something. But the issue is that there's no gold for you to take. There's only one buff to steal, and it's the red buff, and Met's going to grab it anyway.
So, I do think that enemy's largest problem, I'm not ready to say their only problem, I think the largest problem that enemy had in weeks 1 and 2 was the lack of PandaCat. Him coming back will help the team out. How much of this game is enemy's problems without PandaCat versus PandaCat's back and now we're up against SoaR?
I mean, it's both, right? Obviously, PandaCat hasn't been able to practice, likely hasn't played that much against or, with Terra, which is probably the biggest issue in this dual lane. And maybe enemy haven't practiced against Terra in the dual lane, right? Maybe they should have just banned it if they weren't ready for it, which is, I promise you, game 2, Terra is banned. If it's not, enemy is crazy because they were not ready to deal with it. They picked, I believe, they picked the Freya into it. So they had to have some, I don't know, right? They picked the Freya into the Terra.
Well, they got their Fafnir Freya combo. That's the dream, right? SoaR going to start the Fire Giant, and they're going to chain away from the Fire Giant. Start looking at Marauder. Great knockup coming out of Shatter. Gets 3 with the ultimate, but it's just not enough. Metyankey very low, looking for death, but barely escapes. Andy's up, going to land. Will it be aggressive? It will be defensive, saving the life of Metyankey, but hey, we can get a kill at the same time. Snoopy gets it.
And Baskin surviving as well, just zoning out the primary carries from enemy. Snoopy surging forward, finds the Thunder Crash by himself. The rest of the team had pulled off Fire Giant, but it looks like they're going to be back at it.
And now, down comes the Terra. And we'll see the teams aggressing onto the Fire Giant. PainDeViande, a couple players are here, and Pain wants to get antsy.
I mean, they got to stop this. They're 10K behind. Like, they need to force crazy fights at this point here, but it's not going to work. Andinster with a magnificent wall, blocking off Khaos's path, forcing PainDeViande the other way as well. Jigz can clean up Panda on the right-hand side, you know, doesn't even manage to get out. And this is just SoaR. Like, I don't think enemy are getting another kill this game. I really don't.
A single kill, maybe, just because SoaR have proven that they'll
maybe
go
it'll
deep.
be Jigz diving the fountain.
Exactly.
Jigz is going to dive the fountain, right? But he doesn't have Sanctuary, and that's how it's going to occur.
And he's going to go up just to make sure nobody's around. Land right onto Pain. Basic.
They're playing this safe. They're playing this Fire Giant much safer than before. Jig's actually very low here, but that's going to be it. Fire Giant for SoaR, 23 minutes in.
I mean, SoaR having their fun, right? They're going to dive your Phoenix with the tier 2 already up. But at the end of the day, they're well aware that enemy are a fantastic team, and a thing like a Fire Giant buff will allow enemy to make a couple of big plays.
Yeah,
so.
and they got to worry about Pain too. You know, he picked up that Wrath. I'm pretty sure it was their second relic.
Yes,
I'm confident he had the shell there in lane, so he just recently got it. But you still got to worry about it here. Shatter just trying to make anything happen, looking at split push. Metyankey gets very low, but he's able to heal up, and Shattered at this point, there's nothing he can do. He tried to make a play here. It doesn't work out for him.
Oh well, just pushing, split pushing, doing something.
Dead. He's DE dead. That's what he is, Tom.
That's it.
DE dead. DED dead.
Man, if you keep playing like that, I'm gonna have to call you Andinster. Oh wait, he's in this game.
What are you talking about?
That's one of your lines.
Wait, what?
You call the player in your voice, in your announcer pack. You call the player Andy.
Oh yeah.
Or you call him adapting.
No, it's adapting. Yeah. I was so low. Like, what are you talking about? Oh no, man. Is Andinster the world champion this year?
He's playing like it right now.
He's playing.
I mean, they give
Andy
like his classic Thor. He's 6-0-11. We'll ride along with him as he goes to the sky, looking for a target. Gets one stun, just spins around. Damage at a Snoopy right down the middle, and Metyankey able to clean it up again. 6 kills in total for the Hunter.
Baskin 1 versus 4, deep into the fountain here,
nice
and the wall from the fountain as well. SoaR are just climbing. They're farming kills at this point. Enemy still haven't gotten that extra kill yet. They came close though, once again. Just basking, like it's just every time like someone gets very close to dying, right? Enemy do such a good job of isolating out and targeting someone, and it's just like they're just short because SoaR do such a really good job of working as a team and making sure no one gets picked off.
I mean, at this point, they're just fighting against math, right? Enemy are down, what is that, 15,000 gold? Yeah, it doesn't like, at this point, you're just losing 17K.
You're fighting against math too, it's 17,000.
Yeah, I mean, you're losing these fights. You're losing these fights simply because when I press 1, it hits you for 900. When you press 1, it hits me for 90. But even earlier on, when we were seeing them a little bit more even, enemy weren't able to find the group up. And I think this has been over for a couple of minutes, but earlier on when enemy were still had a horse in this race, I think the problem was SoaR were finding the units. It was always a 3-on-something fight, and enemy were always just one guy too short.
I'm excited for game 2. And that's just because I want to see if this is just a fluke, right? Enemy are just not feeling it this game. They had a really bad pick and ban phase. They let the Terra through, which absolutely, they let this Terra Jing Wei lane just destroy their Freya, right? And if there's a traditional hunter, PandaCat is in a much better situation. He likely has a jump or escape or some form, you know, to get out. Unless he's running his Artemis, which I don't see him running in this matchup at all. It would be very similar to the Freya, but maybe it was just like this really bad start that enemy couldn't climb back out of. And maybe if that doesn't happen, they'll be fine.
It's possible. Like I said, I don't want to play conjecture too much, but it's very easy to get zoned out like that. Getting zoned out like that in lane is one of the more frustrating things in Smite. So I think it's very easy to go ahead and say, yeah, you know what, maybe this duo lane got a little frustrated. Well, I think it's very easy to say
it's possible. 1 Phoenix left though here, SoaR 22-2 in kills. It's been one of the most brutal games we have ever watched.
Where did Marauder's health go?
It's healing up, man. He went in Big Baby after he almost got one shot as a solo laner.
Andy's in the sky, and Andy's going to find a target. Shattered on the right-hand side, saving his ult. He gets landed on and just destroyed. Andy again with a great wall. Double kill for the jungle. 1 for Metyankey, 1 for Solo, and PainDeViande's going to fall down. Double kill for Met, double kill for Andy, and Baskin says what up. That's the game, folks. SoaR take game 1.
Well, LG are going to be joined at the #1 spot right there after game 1. And SoaR looking good to retain that spot as well. They just need one more game there. They're going to be on 13 points after that. LG still on 11. But, I mean, that was a game. We saw 5 players play against another 5 players.
I think that was one of the most brutal. Now, it wasn't the shortest. I think Eager won a game in about 24 minutes earlier on in the season. I got to go double check my note. But
yeah, well, it wasn't the fastest game.
That was the most brutal game I think
we've seen. We saw, I believe it was last week 2, there was a single day, I think it was North America, just one of the most one-sided days we ever saw,
right,
where it's just like a bunch of 2-0s, a bunch of very convincing wins as well, where it was like 140 kills to like 20 or something ridiculous between the winning and the losing teams.
You used a really good word. Stompiest. That's what it was.
Stompiest day, yeah.
This might be the stompiest
I mean, it was just like, I felt the pain for PandaCat because there's nothing you can do in that situation. The Terra Jing Wei combo was absolutely beautiful, right? Because what you first do is you set up that wall, right? The crushing earth, right? Which is a guaranteed stun on someone who only has the Magi's blessing. He doesn't have any movement speed to be able to. If he has full movement speed, if he has boots, he has the time to escape out of either way. But without that, it's a guaranteed stun. After that, you see Jigz find the obelisk. There's nothing he can do because he's a Freya, doesn't have the escape. He gets rooted, dashed out again, and after he gets rooted, that's when you see the knockup from Jing. And by then, he's under half health. And we saw that combo just again and again and again and again, and nothing PandaCat or PainDeViande could do to stop it.
And the first time we saw it, it just happened. It happened so fast.
We're seeing a lot of Jing Wei combos today.
It was just, you see Jigz dash forward, and all of a sudden PandaCat's just dead. And he's sitting there going, "What happened?"